Hello and welcome to What's Up Stratford. I'm your host, Peter Maranger. Joining me in starting the show is Michaela Davies. Michaela, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's talk about, you grew up in Montreal.
Yes.
How did you get into foray into acting?
I went to a fine arts high school called FACE in downtown Montreal, so that's where I started to get my first theatre experiences. And then after that I went to a theatre school called the Dome Theatre Program at Dawson College. I started producing and directing and writing after that, and I landed a gig at the Soul Pepper Academy.
And where did you have your first visit to Stratford?
I was in high school at FACE. Yeah, there's actually a photo of me.
Outside the Avalon Theatre?
No, outside the Festival Theatre about 13 years ago. I have like dyed blonde hair and a big red sweater, and I can't remember what show we had just seen, but I'm with some high school friends, and yeah, it was a big part of my theatre education growing up.
Right, and then you went off to Soul Pepper?
I did, yeah.
What did you do there?
So I did the Academy, which is a fantastic paid 2-year residency where I got to work with many of the company artists, have training, get to be in their shows, and then now I'm in my second season here.
Good. Well, how did you connect first with Stratford?
In terms of auditioning?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had some friends that were auditioning for some projects for last season, and I was jealous and I wanted to audition as well, so I hustled my way in to audition and landed Catherine, the Princess of France in Breath of Kings, which then turned into about 10 other roles in that 6-hour Shakespeare epic.
Wow. Now, you've also done some directing?
I have, yeah.
So how many different productions have you directed?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. I've never counted them. Over 5 and under 10, I'd say.
That's a great number.
Yeah,
That's perfect.
yeah.
Okay, this year you have a crazy schedule. You're in 3 different productions.
Yes.
How do you manage it all?
Well, the lovely people in stage management manage it for me, so I just check my schedule every day and they tell me where to go. Sometimes I don't even know what day of the week it is.
Yeah, exactly.
But I know where I have my fitting.
Okay, it all works out.
It all works out, yeah.
So tell us about the Changeling. This is your lead role in the Changeling.
Yes.
So what is that about, and what is your role there?
Well, I'm playing the character of Beatrice Joanna, who is this young woman who lives in a very patriarchal society and is engaged to marry a man that her father wants her to marry, and all of a sudden she meets this other man in a church, falls instantly in love with him, and decides she needs to be with him. And so she enlists the help of her father's servant, this character DeFlores, played by Ben Carlson.
To murder him?
To murder him, yes. And she has this really uneasy relationship with DeFlores where she's constantly professing how much she hates him and how ugly he is, and she detests him. And when she gets him to do this, he is looking for a different kind of payment than what she had bargained for, and they fall into this crazy web of deceit and lust and sex and all kinds of things.
So the other one, I think you're just doing auditions right now, is the Mad Woman of Chaillot?
Mad Woman of Chaillot, so we're in rehearsals now. I got the part.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that's a really, really neat show directed by Donna Fior. I am the kitchen girl, I have a name. Irma the kitchen girl. And what's really, really neat about working on that project is I get to learn ASL. So in the play, American Sign Language. So in the play, my character is the only character that understands this character called Fleurette, the deaf signer. And so for the part, I've been having sign language coaching and learning little bits and pieces to translate for this character and to translate for her. So as she's speaking, I'll let everyone know what she's saying and being able to tell her what everybody else is saying.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, that's been really, really great, working with Elizabeth Morris, who's an actor, who's also actually deaf. And so that's been a really, really neat learning curve.
Right. I understand she as well is hearing impaired or deaf, so she...
Yeah.
Wow, that must be a learning environment for the whole cast then.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right. What's really cool is Stratford's starting to integrate this kind of thing. And so she has 2 translators, Rosalie and Peggy, who are there with her, and they take turns explaining what Donna's saying or what people are saying in the room. And she also has a coach, this man Anselmo, who has his own show called Deaf Waves, and he's been in the arts community and who's also deaf, yeah.
Awesome. And the last one you're in is Timon of Athens.
Timon of Athens, yeah.
What are you doing in that production?
In Timon of Athens, I get to play these little bit parts that help serve the story, but Joe Ziegler is playing Timon. It's directed by Stephen Wilmette. It's a beautiful production with an incredible cast of actors.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So if somebody's going to come to one of the shows of the three, which one to see you? Well, when should they do?
Well, to see me specifically, it would probably
Changeling?
be the Changeling, because that's where I'm on stage the most. But I think all three shows are really special, very, very different.
Wonderful. Michaela, thanks very much for joining me. Have a successful season.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Coming up next, Sebastian Hines.
The following program is brought to you by Rogers Anyplace TV. Enjoy exclusive content for free. Visit RogersAnyplaceTV.com.
A king is born. I told you before. A king is born. Now I told you before. A king is born.
No fighter in history has done what Floyd Mayweather has done.
I'm gonna knock him out, mark my words.
King is born.
Mayweather versus McGregor, Saturday, August 26th, live on pay-per-view.
I'm truly phenomenal. Believing is optional. The facts speak for themselves.
Forbes, Waterloo, Toyota, Kitchener, Rangers hockey on Rogers TV.
After a night out with your friends, there's always options for getting home safely. You could call your BFF, your mom or dad, whoever you can count on for a safe ride home. You could call your favorite cab company or 1-888 taxi guy. Or you could use the Arrive Alive smartphone app to help you choose your ride. Be it a friend, transit, or taxi, getting home safely is app easy. Now available for iOS and Android devices. Visit arrivealive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive, drive sober.
Welcome back. I'm here with Sebastian Hines to talk about what's going on in Stratford. Sebastian, thank you for joining me. We were having a couple laughs beforehand, which is really good, so thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here, Peter.
So you do speak German.
I do speak a bit of German, that's right. Yes, ja, ein bisschen Deutsch.
Danke. We'll finish it up there. So this is your second year at Stratford?
That's correct.
What did you do for the first year? What production?
In my first year, I was working on Graham Abbey's Breath of Kings.
The Breath of Kings.
Over at the TPT.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, you have a completely different shift here with School for Scandal. How is that going?
Oh, it's unbelievable. I mean, School for Scandal, as you know, is headed by Anthony Cimolino, and I'd never worked with him before, but I'd heard really exciting things about him and his attention to detail. And so jumping in, I just found immediately there was a whole world of amazing designers and actors who were all signed on to that project. And the entire time I just felt very supported by the process.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
So it says everyone has a secret. What, isn't that this saying for School for Scandal? What would be your secret?
Oh, you know, the funny thing about my character is that he's got no problem with telling you exactly who he is. You know, he's got this line very early on. I'm an extravagant young fellow who wants money to borrow.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? Yeah.
So in terms of this role, is it absolutely hilarious all the time?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question actually, because a real leap that we had to do as a cast was understanding the joy that courses through this entire show. And it wasn't, I think, until we started to really look at each other and smile and get quite literally high off of the jokes that we're making that the show just started to take off. So it's an integral part of it.
So how do you not just absolutely, just like we started the show, just laughing and not get on your line? Does it happen?
Man. Well, I mean, if you're working with Gerwin Davies, then you're guaranteed to start laughing on stage. He'll literally look at you on stage and just like whisper something to you or something.
Oh, truly?
But the best thing is that it keeps it completely live, which is what the show needs.
Yeah, exactly.
How do I keep from laughing? I don't. I try to follow the impulse. If something's funny, then there must be something to get excited about on stage.
Wonderful. So what other production are you in this year?
I'm also in Timon of Athens, directed by Stephen Ouimet.
Right. And how's that going?
It's incredible. I mean, that show is headed up by Joe Ziegler, who I think brings an incredible amount of heart to that character. And it's a character that I think has the pitfall to be cantankerous, but he brings such a joy and a love of the characters around him that we forgive him for all his misanthropic yellings and rantings. Yeah.
So is that the beauty of Stratford, Sebastian? You can do one role that's completely hilarious, over the top, and then another one rather serious?
I think that's the joy of it, yeah. And the great thing about these seasons is that they have a theme to them. So this year was identity, and I found that from doing Scandal and Timon, there were a lot of really similar themes being discussed in both of them: generosity, taking care of one another, honesty. And so I would go from one show to the next and find, oh, there's a tool that I got in this one that works in the other one.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
So before Stratford, how did you actually get involved in acting and wanting to be an actor?
Yeah, it's a great story, actually. So I had been in school choirs, and then I was in a church choir when I was around 9, 10 years old. And then one day my mom came up to me just before I was going to bed, and she had a newspaper, one of those, you haven't seen those in a long time. I mean, because everything's on the internet now. Everything's on the internet now. It's a silly joke. But she showed me this newspaper, and she said there's an ad in it for auditioning for The Lion King.
Right.
Do you want to audition for this thing? And I'd never been in a play before.
And sorry, how old were you?
I was 10.
10?
I was 10, and I was like, should I do it? She's like, if you want to. And so she took me to the audition, and I somehow got the part.
Wow.
And I worked with Julie Taymor and Richard McMillan and all these incredible actors, and that was my foray into acting at 10 years old.
Now, you lived in Toronto, because that's where you grew up.
Yeah.
So how long did The Lion King go for?
That was for 9 months. Yeah, so I was 10 and 11 years old. They can't keep you much longer than that.
Right. And what about school?
Well, we would finish the show at like 11 o'clock, so I would get my first period off, and then I would have to come into school.
Right.
And, work just as hard as everybody else. My teachers were really great about just marking the things that I could do.
But did you find, though, that year you probably even learned so much more? You couldn't even put a dollar amount on it.
Well, socially, you're in this room with people who have been doing this their whole lives, and people who are very passionate about what they do, and you learn what it means to care and be fastidious and be graceful and responsible over yourself.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and I think that having a strong sense of responsibility over your choices is the best thing that humans can develop in themselves.
Oh, Sebastian, thank you. I really appreciate you joining me today.
Oh, it's such a pleasure, Peter.
Thank you. Yeah. Have a great day.
Cheers.
A successful season as well.
Thank you very much.
Coming up, Alexis Gordon.
Thursday.
We are Theater on the Edge, an improv group that's been performing here for the past 35 years.
Theater on the Edge on Rogers TV.
It's packed to the rafters in the Edmonton Arena. Everyone is feeling the pressure on the Grabs as they await the American champs. Here's the Cleveland favorite Knits now, and boy, do they look impressive.
Look at their uniforms. I bet you could sure run in smart shorts like those.
Not that. Look, world champs, my eye.
Grads, we don't play for glory. We play the game for the game's sake. So tonight, you're going to earn that title by playing your game. Teamwork, passing. Let's show them what it means to play the Grads.
Were champions for 25 years. The record of 502 wins and only 20 losses is unmatched in all of sport.
Join me on Wednesdays for Lions TV Bingo at 8 p.m. Lots of fun, trivia, and much, much more on Rogers TV.
Welcome back. I'm with Alexis Gordon to talk about what's going on with Guys and Dolls. Alexis, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So this is your third season at Stratford. You're kind of a veteran.
Oh, okay. I'll take that.
No, that's a compliment. That's awesome.
A new veteran.
Sure. Well, I was at General Electric before 8 years, and I was considered a senior person. It was ridiculous, but anyway, there you go. So let's back up the clock. You grew up in London, Ontario, and then I think you went to the University of Windsor, and you have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in acting.
Yes,
got it.
Yes, I did the singing thing on the side. It was good. My mom was sort of like, do you want to be an actor first or a singer first? Do you want to go to musical theater and not get a degree? Which was a big thing Now Sheridan does have a degree program, so who knows what life would have panned out back if I'd gone to school now. But yeah, I chose ultimately to go to Windsor and get that acting training first, and then did the singing stuff on the side. And
how did you enjoy Windsor, their program? Was it a good program?
It is, it really is. It's got a very specific focus though, and so with my flirtation with musical theater and wanting to pursue that, I think I was a bit of a maybe rebel at my time, but that forced me to work hard for myself and make musical theater opportunities where I could. So I did Hairspray with like the community theater in my 3rd or 4th year.
Oh, wow.
And that's not exactly encouraged with the program, because you should focus on your schoolwork, but I didn't.
The stuff that will get you a degree.
Yes, but I went for the stuff that would give me experience as well. So I think that taught me to just be a hard worker, because as soon as you sort of hit the ground running in Toronto after graduation, you work as much as you can create for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. You did lots of different productions. I think you were with Godspell and some other productions.
In Petrolia.
Then how did you connect here 3 years ago with Stratford?
It's always been a dream of mine to work here. I think it's all about timing though. They were doing Carousel and Sound of Music, and I sort of went, oh my goodness, that's my year. They'd been doing, like they'd done Tommy, and I love legit musical theater. That's sort of where my voice lives. So I just saw that double Rodgers Hammerstein billing and went, oh my goodness, I have to go in. And so that was
perfect.
Fortunate timing.
Well, Guys and Dolls, your Sergeant, is it Sarah Brown?
Sergeant Sarah Brown, yes.
Yes, and then you're at the Save a Soul mission. How's that production going this year?
It's great. It's a ton of fun. It's 3 hours of nonstop, just like energy, but I think it's well spread out. Everything, I keep saying we keep passing the baton in the show. So Evan and I will sing a big number, and then we pass it right on to Adelaide, who will do this big number with the girls, and then she'll pass that on, and we'll go to Havana, and it's this giant fight choreographed scene, and then it's a duet, and then the boys come out in the second half dancing their faces off, and just as they're ready to collapse, they pass the baton on, and someone sings a duet and gives them a chance to breathe. It's really well spread out, and I think that also makes it a great ensemble piece to work on, and let alone for the audience to be cheering so many different people on.
Well, I lose weight just watching it, so it's good.
That's what I felt about Crazy for You a few years ago. I was like, how are they still moving?
Probably at the end of the 3 hours. What is it like? What do you do at the end of the...
Are you like, so it's 11 p.m. Yeah, and you're hungry, but you don't want to eat because you got to just rest and keep your stamina up. So however way you do it, you got to take care of you.
What was your favorite scene? There's so many.
I always say, like, I love sitting backstage, and I watch Crapshoot Ballet every single show. It's hard not to look at Devon every time, but I try and like watch different things and different aspects. I'm trying to think what's my favorite to do. If I Were a Bell, where it was exhausting at the beginning, that was like get your cardio up to sing and run around the stage and pretend you're drunk and laugh a lot at the same time, and still be understood. But now it's a lot of fun, and it comes right out of that fight scene. So.
But that was when you arrived back from Havana, right? Or at Havana?
No, it's like sort of right before we get back to New York.
You were drunk in that scene too.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's got to be actually. I never even thought about how difficult it would be to do that.
Yeah, and we've just done the big choreograph thing, and I've run down the VOM, and I was just saying. It looks like maybe we can just sort of take a breather and run back out, but I'm taking off my stockings and shoes to throw it, and they're fixing my hair. It's still going, and then I come out and sing the song, and then we come back out again in New York, and then Evan and I sing this lovely ballad, and I'm actually kind of dying inside as we're like, breath control and working that out, but. It obviously got easier over time. We were privileged enough to have like 15 previews or something, so to sort of work that out and go to the gym and make sure you got that breath.
You still need to go to the gym after that?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, are you not doing a crazy amount of productions or performances this year for that?
105.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, so for people that don't know, when do you normally come to Stratford to start rehearsing? When does it all start?
Well, usually the festival musical will start first. I'm trying to think, this year was probably like February 4th or 6th, which is actually earlier than I've ever started here either.
Wow.
But we were here by ourselves for 2 or 3 weeks before everyone else came in too. So it was one of those where we all had the green room to ourselves, and then other people trickled in from other shows, and we were like, oh yeah, it's not just Camp Guys and Dolls. Cool. It's everyone else too.
Well, it's a wonderful production. I hope everyone gets to see it. It's absolutely fabulous. Thank you very much. Coming up, we're going to meet with Devon.
Experience the Guelph Jazz Festival and Colloquium September 13th to the 17th. Hear adventurous jazz performed by some of the most influential new generation artists of our time. Catch performances by bass trombone, Ray Anderson's Pocket Brass Band, and Peter Broadsman. Head into the Free Music Village Jazz at Market Square, where you'll see such artists as Bank Street Bonbons, Gypsy Cumbia Orchestra, and many more. Check out guelphjazzfestival.com.
Hi, I'm here with Louise Porter.
Oh, I need help with my pressure cooker.
The first dish that we're going to do is we're going to do a blade roast. It's great done in a pressure cooker because it needs time. We're just going to put our lid on. And in just a minute, the safety valve is going to pop up.
And it did.
Just like so.
Magic.
So we're just going to take our little piece here, and it's just, oh yeah, pieces are breaking off already. This is what's so great about this.
Oh, it falls apart.
And one more piece, because I know you're really hungry.
Gorgeous.
Welcome back. I'm here with Devin Michael Brown. That's fun to say. So Devin, thanks very much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
How did you start off with dancing? How does that just get in as a small child, or how did that start?
That's actually a really funny story. When I was 3 years old, my mom put me into ballet class, only because the studio that I was dancing at had free dance lessons for men who were beginners. So beginner dance classes for boys.
So you were a man at age 3?
Well, I mean, you know, you try to be.
Yeah.
But beginner boys dance classes for free. And so my mom wanted me to get out of the car seat because I was squirming a bit. And so she thought, why not? My sisters were already taking dance lessons, so why not me as well? And so she did. And for some reason, I loved it.
You took off to it?
Yeah, it was you know, it was just, I guess it became my passion, and it just went with it, and here I am, I guess.
What was your first professional dance, if you will, where you were contracted and paid?
Gosh, that's hard to say. I don't know if this was my actual first contracted professional job, but I did work on The Next Step, which is a dance TV show, and I was lucky enough to be a lead on it for one of the seasons, and I think that may have been my first contracted professional dance job, which was incredible to even have that opportunity.
Yeah, wonderful. Now this is your second season here at Stratford, right?
No, it's my first.
First?
Yeah.
Okay, for some reason I thought that was your second one. So how did you get connected then to Stratford?
Oh, I just went to the general auditions last year in May, and went through that entire process. Probably did 4 or 5 auditions for Donna Fiore and was lucky enough to be cast.
Wow, in Guys and Dolls.
In Guys and Dolls, yeah.
And then how do you not, I did see the production, I saw you, I couldn't believe the dancers. You must get injured, it has to happen.
I mean, hopefully not.
Yeah.
That's the plan, is to not get injured.
Right.
But you're working through little things all the time, small ankle injuries, small foot injuries. I did have a small injury after the 4th preview of Guys and Dolls. I went to a lot of physio for it, and it's something that you just work through.
The show must go on.
The show must go on, and you know, I really don't want to not do the show, so I try to work my hardest through small little things. Hopefully nothing's big enough to get me out of the show.
Now I see one of the scenes that I love is the Crapshoot Ballet, and then you come through this sewage hole, but it shoots you out like lightning.
Yeah, I mean, the first time going down that was exhilarating. I mean, it's really a slide, and the funniest.
No, I call that a shoot.
I mean, the funniest thing that our director told us was that the crew guys had to make the slide.
Yeah.
Because they actually don't manufacture a slide that is steep enough for what was required for the number. So we went down, and it shot us out like at a very fast pace. And it's still really fun to do every day.
Now, you're also in HMS Pinafore, correct?
Yes.
Doing 2. So you're dancing in that. Are there ever a day that they actually schedule you're doing 2 productions?
There are a lot of times where we're doing in HMS Pinafore and then into a Guys and Dolls, or a Guys and Dolls into an HMS Pinafore. At least twice a week we will do 2 shows.
So do you have a 3-hour nap? What do you do between the productions? You must be exhausted.
See, and the difference is if we do a Guys and Dolls first, we have less time between the 2 shows. If it's an HMS Pinafore, we have a little bit more time where we can maybe take a nap, make some dinner. I try to always grab a tea between shows just to relax, get ready for the next one.
Now, you're relatively young. You're in your early 20s.
Yes, 20 exactly.
Yes, and you're here at Stratford, which is a world-class theater. How does it feel just to be able to say, I've made it to Stratford at such a young age?
It's surreal. I mean, I still can't believe it. It's hard to believe that that's actually something that I am doing, is that I'm at the Stratford Festival and I'm only 20 years old. I'm really grateful for that experience.
And how do you like the city? How is that? You grew up in the GTA?
Yes.
So what's it like to be in Stratford?
I mean, it's fantastic. It's a small town. I mean, I'm from Milton, and when I grew up, it wasn't much larger than Stratford is now. So it's familiar in a sense, the small town vibe. It's really nice and a beautiful place to be, especially in the summer.
Devin, thanks very much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
That's it for this show. Thanks for watching What's Up Stratford. I'm your host, Peter Maranger. Make it a great day.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
We need smell-o-vision.
Add our cream.
Prosciutto.